Does that happen though? Like,
Yes.
So they can, dang.
You ready?
Yeah.
Let's get into it.
His young life was as delicate as the wing of a butterfly, and as fragile.
Okay, so is he talking about someone who passed away? He says his young life was as delicate.
I think this is, I don't know.
All right.
Was as delicate as the wing of a butterfly, and as fragile as a spider's web. For him we cry, 'cause when he dies, we all do. Did Ahmed not deserve a life? Ahmed never hurt a fly. Ahmed never knew the politicians he was murdered by. Certain times Ahmed wished that he could be a bird and fly beyond the sky, escape the curse of birth that he was burdened by. Ahmed never grew to let your racism internalize. Water poured from every pore in his corpse while the nurses cried. Ahmed was a beautiful person, like you or I. But are we? Ahmed could have been a doctor, lawyer or an engineer. Could have been a superstar, but it...
Okay, I can't say this name.
Yeah.
I would have said Ahmed, but that's clearly the wrong pronunciation.
Right.
Okay,
It's like Ahmed.
Aside from that,
this reminds me of Ghost of Grenfell.
Right? And maybe that's Lowkey's lane. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Like talking about tragic things that have happened. Okay, so here, let me run it back.
The nurses cried. Ahmed was a beautiful person, like you or I. But are we?
Okay, so I guess that is the question from the first segment. Are we beautiful people? Like, okay, this person clearly is still a child.
Right.
You know what I mean? When you're a child, you have that innocence and stuff like that.
Right.
But then, like you say, you never grew to let your racism internalize and all these kind of things that change you from childhood on. You know what I mean?
Yeah, I don't know. That's an interesting question because, like, I don't know if an adult can be as beautiful as a child.
Right?
I don't think so. But also, I feel like knowing, like, children are just like, they don't know. But it's like, to know something and to still see it in it, like, to be beautiful, and you know what I mean?
But then also, okay, so like the stuff he raps about, well, that we've seen is like tragic kind of things. But then it's like to know about that stuff and then just go on about everyday life.
Right.
You know what I mean? But then on the other hand, it's like, well, what can you do?
Right.
So what makes someone beautiful or not? Like a beautiful person or not?
Right, because I mean... this is a real question.
Because, like, if normal people could stop this kind of stuff, right? So, like, innocent, I'm guessing it's like innocent, well, obviously a kid is innocent, but, like, innocent people, like, the theme would be innocent people getting killed from political kind of drone strike kind of violence. That's what I'm guessing is going on here. Because he said the politicians murdered him or something like that. So it's probably, like, oil war, drone strike, you know, whatever politicians are doing these days. But it's like, if normal people could stop it, they probably would.
But if you could connect the dots all the way to, like, well, there's this oil war and whatever because this country gets this money that pays for this, that pays for... It's like basically person in, you know, the Western world would basically have a third world quality level of life if they did not do these bombings and things. Then would they fix it? You know what I mean? Like, if you say...
But that's if that were the case.
If that were the case. But it's like, if you could connect all the dots to where it's like, this is the impact on your life, would you still, you know, fix it? I feel like that might be different.
Yeah, for sure.
Ahmed could have been a doctor, lawyer or an engineer. Could have been a superstar, but his life ended here. Guess he was a shooting star, burned bright and disappeared. To some he seems to represent a menace in this hemisphere. Let me hear, make the very essence of this message clear. He was precious, many die like him every year. Ahmed was a victim of resentment and relentless fear. Now his soul surfs the waves, I wish we could have kept him here.
The sea, it holds our secrets. The sea, it holds his soul. They call him Ahmed. The sea, it holds our secrets. The sea, it holds his soul. They call him Ahmed.
Ahmed's ancestors introduced to Europe Greek philosophy, brought with them irrigation, mathematics and astronomy. Symbolically, irony of this horror isn't lost on me. Trying to get to Europe via Greece is where he's lost at sea. Ahmed, not Ahmed, it's Ahmed, he's that dead. Toddler lying lifeless on the beach with his back bent, arms spread, reaching the direction that his dad went. If he made it here, would have been bullied for his accent. He was captured by the...
Okay, I thought one thing was interesting that said said his ancestors were introduced to European and Greek philosophy, right? But a lot of that stuff comes from Egypt.
I thought he said his ancestors introduced European Greek mathematics and like his ancestors introduced it.
Okay, that would make more sense.
Yeah.
That would make more sense. And like a lot of that stuff didn't come from Europe. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Okay, that makes a little more sense.
You
Okay,
know,
so I misheard that one.
I feel like this stuff is like, I don't know what we could do about it. It's definitely not okay. Because I definitely feel like even the people who survive this and become refugees in other countries and, you know what I mean, they seek asylum and whatnot, it's like how traumatic is that in the mind of like say somebody goes through this at 3-5 years old, they lose all their family, like not even just, you know, aunts, uncles, cousins, like parents, you know what I mean, siblings, and then they move to another country and they've got to figure out how to not have an accent and fit in socially and stuff. So it's like, I feel like it's just very like, it changes a person's brain.
Or even moving to the country that is doing the drone strikes.
Does that happen though? Like,
Yes.
So they can, dang, so it's like seek asylum in a country where they just obliterated you. Then it's like, can you then, as an immigrant, can you ever fully appreciate the country you've immigrated to when that's the history you had? Like, you know what I'm saying? Like, I feel like that's just a conflict of, like, I would never respect fully somebody that did something to me. Even if they said,
Right.
I'm not going to do it to you, but I did it to your uncle, cousin, grandma.
Right.
You know what I mean? These are real questions.
In the direction that his dad went. If he made it here, would have been bullied for his accent. He was captured by the ocean, paralyzed and frozen while these parasites sat and typed, analyzing clothing out for resources. We all compete beyond the talk of war and peace and talk of porous borders. There is corpses on the shore of Greece. They found a teddy next to where his body was found. The sea swallowed him, politics has swallowed him now, and those responsible, Ahmed's ghost will follow them now. To the family, all we can say is we are sorry he drowned because
The sea, it holds our secrets.
Wait, so he drowned? Like trying to escape
Yeah.
war, probably.
Yeah.
Okay.
He washed up on shore.
Dang.
It's so crazy to me because, like, okay, so I feel like all us common people are, like, basically the same. Like, we're basically similar in, like, we all love our families. We need some kind of work or a living to provide for ourselves. We like a little bit of entertainment. You know what I mean? But then we have, like, massive cultural differences, religious differences and stuff. But it's, like, very similar. And, like, when you travel around, it's, like, it ends up being, like, people just kind of, like, live their life.
Right?
You know? But it's, like, this is messed up.
It's like we're enemies with China, right? The U.S. and China.
Yeah.
But we've been to China, and, like, on the ground, like, people were very nice. And, like,
Yeah.
oh, cool. Well, where are you from? Oh, America. Wow. You know what I mean? Like, people were just people.
People are just people. I literally have a friend in China right now where it's like they crack down more on like using Facebook and using like, you know, their sort of veil internet whatever. Like basically it got harder and harder to contact me. So now it's like she's like, well, do you have like this whatever chat app? But it's like I can't use that chat app in the U.S.
WeChat.
Yeah, well, yeah, something like that where it's like you had to get verified all this stuff. And it was just like, dang, like we're literally just friends. Like
You can't even keep in touch.
it's like they must think we're gonna share some like insider info between ourselves or something.
Well, I think they just don't want their citizens knowing about the rest of the world and what they're doing. You know what I mean?
Dang.
And hearing a different opinion of China than what China tells them.
The sea, it holds his soul. They call him Ahmed. The sea, it holds our secrets. The sea, it holds his soul. They say, let him drown. What have you done? Let him drown. No, what have we become?
What is that?
No.
What's that
Was that a boat capsizing?
Tipping over with all them people? I'm sure it happens though. You know what this song's making me think about? But
What?
I've thought about this before. Like basically the ocean. how much, like on land, we have archaeologists, we can like dig for things, we can discover bones and tombs and all kinds of stuff, but it's like the ocean. Okay, you have transatlantic slave trade. You have all kinds of like, pirates and like all kinds of like warring situations, like, you know what I mean? You got like, volcanic eruptions and like all the stuff that ends up at the bottom of the ocean. This is a good point. Like the sea holds a lot of information.
A lot of humanity's secrets.
Yeah. Lost cities and stuff, like all kinds of stuff.
Have you done? Let him drown. No, what have we become? Don't let him drown. No, don't let him drown. And they say, let him drown. What have you done? Don't let him drown. No, what have we become? Don't let him drown. Please don't let him drown. Ahmed could have been you, and Ahmed could have been me. We need to understand the policies that put him in the sea. We need to understand why it is the beach is full of dying kids. A colonial metropole, people want to reside in. If he did, would he make it or fall to something that's deeper? End up like Jimmy and Benga or Khalid Abu Dharif. At a picture by Khaver Paulus on the beaches of Tarifa made me see some would grieve more if Ahmed was a creature with 4 legs. Then they would consider him legitimate. Those like him braving barbed wire burning off their fingertips while force.
That is facts. It's like in Western countries, like, they kind of do value, like, a dog or something more than people sometimes. It seems like it.
Yeah, 100%.
It's like Michael Vick probably got more time in prison than people who've done worse things to humans. You know what I mean?
Yeah. Literally.
You could abuse a child and get less time than you can get for fighting dogs.
It's like when you go out, like in LA and stuff, you see the homeless, they call it the homeless problem, but it's like, it's a homeless, like, on another level, like a whole city of people amidst the city that are homeless with tents and couches and like whole whole blocks of like homeless, and you see people with their little dog in their purse wearing Fendi, and it's like the contrast is incredible.
It's like dogs are allowed more places than homeless people.
Yeah, that's true. Yeah, literally, dogs are allowed more places than homeless people.
Okay, so another thing you said is like the policies and how they affect things. That's why I said in question time, I said I was worried we were going to be back in Syria heavy.
You said that.
And then what happened? I think less than a week later, we're doing drone strikes or something in Syria. Yeah. It's like, to me, that was obvious.
It was coming.
That's going to come with Biden. To me, it just seemed obvious.
But it's that propaganda, though. Like, so many people believe in, like, whatever the media tells them. This candidate's this way and this candidate's this way. People just believe it. And they don't research, they don't, you know what I mean? It's just like they're very emotional and kind of taken advantage of. And I feel like it's sad because I could be being taken advantage of and I don't even know it.
Oh, I'm sure we are in different ways and we don't know.
You know what I mean?
I mean, we only know so much.
And like you said, this Ahmed could have been you or me. It's like, yeah, literally, especially if you believe in reincarnation or any type of circle of life, karma type stuff, it's like, we're concerned with global warming, but like, you could come back and be in that situation versus this situation. You know what I mean? It's very easy to be like, oh, well, doesn't affect me in America. But in reality, like, I think it all.
And I think with the media, most people in America right now, I don't know about most, but a lot of people are going to support the drone strikes and stuff that's going on in Syria, whatever airstrikes we just did the other day, because the media said it was retaliatory.
Yeah, they'll make stuff up like that. Yeah.
I question that.
Right.
Just because knowing the media, like, can't really trust them. Was it retaliatory? Possibly. Do I just believe it outright? No. Did I research further into it? No. That's why I don't really have a strong opinion, like, was it retaliatory or not? But it's like, I don't take them at their word. You know what I mean?
Like, you can't trust the media.
Right.
Like, for sure. I feel like that's one good thing, at least, that's happening in the U.S. is, like, a lot of people are much more, like, they'll admit they don't trust the media, but then they'll still act on as if they trusted the media. But it's, like, at least, like, not conspiracy theory anymore to not trust the media.
The reason I would lean towards it not being retaliatory because, like, okay, dude's been president for, like, barely a month.
Yeah.
And we're having retaliatory strikes already. I don't know. It's questionable.
It's just, like, literally in a month. It's very questionable. A lot has already happened that it's, like,
very questionable.
Like, literally, even, like, our gas prices went from, like, I don't even know. It went up, like, 50 cents already.
Right, but that could partially, I don't know.
I don't know, because it's oil. You know what I'm saying? Who knows? But I
don't know what's going on.
I feel like you can't trust these politicians on either side, honestly.
Right.
None of them, at least in the U.S.
Right, that's the thing. Like, knowing the policies, like, well, either side you vote for, you're gonna get a lot of the same. Maybe like
Right.
you might get more or less with one side, but it's
They're all in bed together.
right.
They be holding hands.
That mentality still exists as privilege. The difference between an expat and an immigrant for I'm a Somali and Ahmed Rasul Muhammad. When you take others' humanity, it's only yours that's stunted, not a swarm. There are sisters and brothers, that's the sum of it. The cockroaches here are in the media and the government, not the sea.
The sea, it holds our secrets. The sea, it holds his soul. They call him Ahmed. The sea, it holds our secrets. The sea, it holds.
You know what I think too?
What?
So, okay, so like, you know how you have like passport restrictions. So like if you're from a certain country, you can go to these countries, whatever, but then there's
Right.
certain countries you can't go to. I feel like often a U.S. passport will get you in like anywhere except the areas where we have conflicts. But sometimes I feel like, on the one hand that could be for our safety. But on the other hand, that could be because our government doesn't want us to know what's really going on there.
Man, I think it's for safety too.
It's safety too, I mean,
Because
but
you gotta remember, it's not like these countries love us.
true.
That's why I'm
Understandably.
always conflicted watching these videos, because it's like, I don't know if I could walk around in one of those countries.
Right.
You know what I mean? I got nothing to do with what's going on. You know what I mean? But it's like,
yeah.
I don't know. Is it media propaganda, like the stuff you see, like Death to America and all this kind of stuff? Or is that just like a small segment of people that chant that? Or is that like the overall vibe of the country?
Yeah.
If it is, okay, it's understandable because we do drone strikes and all this stuff. So I'm not saying they shouldn't feel that way, but I'm saying like, how am I supposed to feel if they hate us?
Right.
But I don't know if they do or don't. I don't know if it's the media or if it's real, but it's like, dang. That's why I'm always conflicted on these. Like, dang, well,
Right.
how am I supposed to feel?
Because it would be understandable if they had a lot of hate towards Americans.
Right. It
know
would
what I
be
mean?
understandable.
And what are you
Because I wouldn't tell them they shouldn't feel that way when knowing what, like, we do overseas and stuff with all the conflicts. So it's like, I wouldn't be mad at them for feeling that way. But dang, if you hate Americans, like even just the regular everyday people, then
right. And that is why I feel like people who talk about like utopias and like kumbaya, we all love each other. It's like that's never gonna happen because
not in our
feel-
lifetimes.
Never. I mean, even to
It's
me,
theoretically possible.
yeah.
Theoretically possible if humans evolve to a point and transcend human nature of all of history. Is it likely? Nah.
Because to me, okay, if you take like South Africa, right? Just I mean, and obviously we don't know all the details of it because who knows what's like true and what's not if you're not on the ground
Right.
experiencing it. But it seems like you had some native people, then you had some colonization, and then a few years later, those native people didn't forget about the colonization, and now you have retaliation.
Right.
And I feel like that's inevitable with the situation of colonization, with the situation of storming into a country and taking people's stuff, killing people. They will never forget that.
Basically, anything other than genocide is going to lead to retaliation one day.
Yeah. That doesn't just go away. So there's never, in my opinion, ever going to be all of us holding hands in utopia on the same page.
Oh, yeah.
Because then once the retaliation happens, then the descendants over here are like, well, we didn't actually do that. Our ancestors did
Right.
that. And so then they're going to retaliate. You know what I mean? So, I don't know. It's cold, though. This is cold-blooded, the situation.
So, they call him Ahmed. Ahmed never knew the politicians he was murdered by. Ahmed never knew the politicians he was murdered by. Ahmed never knew the politicians he was murdered by.
منين والله يا كريم؟
Wait a minute, did you have something to do with it? Yes. No, yes, no. No, that Navy SEAL training was just for laughs. Wait a minute, you trained as a Navy SEAL? No, how did you know? Who said anything about Navy SEALs? I'm just a simple little terrorist. Stop interrogating me, damn it, you're good at this!
What was that? Stand-up routine.
Right.
Seemed like a comedy show or something. I've never seen
Man, people,
that.
as
It doesn't
inappropriate.
surprise me. I mean, does that surprise you?
No.
Right.
Especially the freaking level of ignorance of so many people. But,
It looked older though, maybe like some 90s action.
I don't know. I think it looked 2012-ish.
Yeah, maybe.
2013.
It looked older, but it doesn't surprise me.
You know what this reminded me of?
What?
Remember Akala was talking about, like, how people blame their kids, but they're all gangsters or whatever. Something like that. It was like in his Fire in the Booth, maybe like part.
And they're just following their leaders when they're saying that. Yeah.
I feel like countries and politics and like governments are like gangs. You know what I mean? Like he
Well,
kept
they are,
saying,
and they're trying to stay in power in their territory.
right? Or
But
take
okay,
over.
if it's at the very top in government and it's at the very bottom in the hood, is that human nature?
True. That's true. Yeah. I mean, it's everywhere. It's just in government, it's a lot more like behind closed, like, you know, a lot more sophisticated, like a
They
lot
can
more
spin it the way they want you to,
psychological.
the way they want you
Yeah.
to see it. Versus at the lowest level, it's like
Yeah.
can't really spin it because you don't have control over people's perception of it.
Right. Gangs.
Well, that's what didn't the college say? Absolute power corrupts absolutely, and absolute powerlessness
Which one
does
is that?
the
I
same.
think number 3 maybe.
Because I mean, that's where we see the most kind of gang activity at the very top and the very
Yep.
lowest end. You know what I mean?
Ooh, absolute power corrupts absolutely.
Was that a college?
That wasn't.
I think so.
Absolute
Powerlessness does the same.
powerlessness does the same. Ooh. Yeah. I wonder if people ever, there's ever like adoption situations where it's like you remove a kid from this environment and bring them to a new environment. Like, I don't even know. I don't think that's a good solution though, because often it's like, it's not that their parents were ill-equipped to take care of them. It's like literally they're in a war zone. You know what I mean?
Right.
So it's not even like you can just,
You can't just remove all the kids from a country.
right, you can't just like help the children, and like it's not that simple. And then their parents probably don't want to just give them up to their enemies.
But I mean, people don't
Right.
want to move from their homeland.
Right,
Like they just want it to not be blown up.
right.
And it's like regular people are getting blown up from governments beefing over resources and oil and stuff. You know what I mean?
Yeah. Yeah, it seems just like a situation with, it's just, I mean, on the one hand, it's like I feel like guilty to be like, oh, well, I can't do anything about it, so,
Right?
you know,
It's like we have that privilege to not.
to ignore it. You know what I mean? Like,
But
we're
then
not,
on the other hand, it's like, what can you actually do about it?
right?
Other than vote for one party or the other, which both are going to, like, Trump did drone strikes too. He's not innocent.
Right?
It's just as far as Syria goes, I felt like Biden was very interested in Syria specifically. You know what I mean? It's like both parties are going to do those kind of things. So, like, what can we do?
And then it's like the U.S. got like charities and stuff, but it's like you donate to a charity, you donate $13.13 actually makes it to the person at the end. Not even 13
Right.
cents. You know what I mean? But it'd be like, you think you're actually contributing, and then it all goes to salaries and all this stuff.
Okay, so let's spin this around.
Okay.
What are the solutions? We don't know of any. I'm asking you guys. What are the, like, have you guys thought about the proposed solutions and things? Like, what is the, like, the end goal kind of thing? I mean,
What
it would
could
be
we
to
do?
not
Yeah.
be beefing, but is that, like, you know what I mean? Like, I don't know what I'm trying to say, but like, what is the,
I mean, from like in the Western, like first world countries, we definitely feel like there is something that people have the ability to do. Because at the end of the day, just a simple cost of living, it's like if you could actually get, you know, $10 of US dollars into like a usable fund for someone over there, it would actually make a difference. You know what I mean?
would it?
I think so. As far as like food, I mean, when they're getting,
But I'm saying, like, the main issue would be the wars.
yeah,
You send $10 to someone and their city gets obliterated next week.
right. Right.
I like to think about solutions
Yeah,
and stuff. And
I
like,
mean-
what if I'm gonna think about an issue? I want to think about the solutions, not just the issue. So I'm just saying,
It's true.
what are the solutions people have thought of? That's basically what I'm asking.
Yeah. Like, what do you guys, what
Like,
happens over
maybe
there?
the
that-
only solution available is the temporary donate to this charity to help people eat. You know what I mean? Maybe that's the best thing you could do right now, but that's not the end goal. The end goal is to not have an environment where kids are drowning and people are getting drone striked all the time.
Right.
You know what I mean? That would be the
Right.
end goal.
And I feel like,
but
even like
is
our
that going to happen given human nature with absolute power?
deep, I mean, I'm glad somebody puts this stuff out there to consider, because at the end of the day, it's very easy to just like turn off that media, don't read articles that are negative. So it's very easy to ignore it, but ignoring it doesn't fix
Some of the
it.
stuff I read is very different take too.
Really?
It's like you can get media in the U.S. that will like say all the drone strikes we do creates things like ISIS and things like that, and then you'll have other media saying that we low-key will fund ISIS and send them weapons and like all this crazy kind of stuff. It's hard to know what to believe and stuff, but I've seen articles and things about that as well.
Yeah, because
it's like, what do you think is going to happen when you start dropping bombs on a country?
The gang that's local is going to take over.
Right, and like they're probably not
sure.
going to like you or the people in your country. Because like I could totally see that being what happens. Like we're blowing up stuff for oil, that it creates ISIS and things like that don't really like us. You know what I mean? So yeah, of course we can't go to that country.
Right. We destabilize a country, and then they immigrate with their family, and like Lowkey was saying, they get made fun of their accent, they get made fun of what they eat, their religion, like, then they don't ever feel like they have a home.
But then that's also going to be because of the media and like that skit at the
yeah.
end and like the way, and when kids are seeing that when they have a kid who's from that country, they're going to make fun of it.
What do you guys think?
Yeah. What are the possible solutions and stuff? But made it to the end of the video. Appreciate you. Thanks for hanging in there. Appreciate you guys supporting the channel. All the likes and all the comments. That's a wrap.
I don't know. Tell me, man, what do you know? What do you know? Me and my boys on the road. We to go. She told me, boy, you to go. Like, I don't know. But I don't know.